Hello, everyone. I want to welcome you to another Photography Friday here in the Central Kansas District 4-H. And for those of you in McPherson, I hope you're enjoying the day. It's absolutely gorgeous out here. It's actually Thursday morning when I'm recording this, and it's beautiful. The temperature is perfect. The wind's blowing nicely, so there's a good breeze. So I'm actually sitting out on my porch recording this, and I want to apologize for any ambient noise that gets in the way, but it's too nice to be out or to be indoors. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about, first off, the county fairs are coming up. We'll get to that here in a second. But I also wanted to tell you that if you are not out at least thinking about photography and what you want to do for the fair, now is the time to get started. And the reason I say this is because, you know, my kids are in 4-H. My wife is a 4-H'er. I was never a 4-H'er, but I was superintendent for photography in Lyon County. So I know what happens with 4-H photography is it's the sort of thing that we decide to do at the last minute. You know, my kids sometimes were shooting photographs 2 days before it was time to turn them in. And that's actually a really bad approach. What you need to be doing is thinking about what you want to shoot, having an idea what in your head what you want to do, and then go take the photographs now, because you need to give yourself time to shoot them again. Okay. So make sure you give yourself plenty of time. The county fairs are coming up. The Ottawa County Fair is July 21st through the 24th. That's a month away. The Tri-Rivers Fair here in Salina is August 5th through the 9th. For those of you in McPherson County, the fairs at Canton are July 15th to the 19th, and in McPherson, the 4-H fairs, July 24th through 27th. If you're in the Central Kansas District, which is which is Salina and Ottawa County, then check out the Central Kansas 4-H page to get details, to absolutely make sure I'm giving you the right dates, because I hate to think that I'm giving you the wrong dates. If you're in McPherson County, I apologize, I don't have the web page up, but I'm sure you can find it through Google or something like that. Okay, so my favorite time to photograph is in the morning. And the reason why is that because probably the biggest reason is that the air is very clean. The pollutants are pretty much blown out. If it's the summertime, they're in Nebraska by now. If it's the wintertime, they're in Oklahoma. But the air is very crisp, it's very clean, and it feels fresh. Not to mention the fact that here in Kansas, you all know that summer gets very warm. There's nothing worse than trying to take photographs while you're sweating. So morning is a very good time to do it. Now, there's a couple terms I want you to understand. One is called the blue hour, and the other one is the golden hour. The blue hour is the hour before sunrise and after sunset. Its name comes from the fact that light has a bluish tint to it. It's a great time to photograph, but it's also a difficult time because there's not a lot of light. The closer you get to sunrise or the closer you are to sunset, the more light you're going to have. But the blue hour just gives you a very nice opportunity to play around with kind of the bluish tint that surrounds us. So here's an example of some blue light photography. These images are not mine. They're actually borrowed from Google. I'm posting them for educational purposes, but I wanted to share them because they're just really good examples of blue hour photography. You know me, I'm a Kansan by birth. I lived in Oregon for a couple of years, and I love the mountains. So if I can get a mountain shot in there, you know what I'm going to do. So the golden hour, which is actually probably the time that you guys are going to enjoy doing photography the most, it's actually the hour after sunrise and the hour before sunset. And truthfully told, it's more like a half hour to 40 minutes. During this time, the light has a very warm golden tint to it. And this is truly my favorite time to shoot during this golden hour. Just the light feels good and clean and fresh, and the shadows are nice. They're not there's not a lot of harsh light like you get with the sun shining overhead. So there's a little bit of contrast, but it just feels good. It feels clean. Plus, you know, it helps that hopefully we've had a good night's rest. Okay, so here's an example of golden hour photography. You know, again, you notice the nice warm tint to it, the nice shadows, the way the light comes in from the side rather than straight overhead. Here's another example, and I'm using this one. I'm sorry, didn't reproduce as great as I'd hoped, but my daughter did something similar to this using a leaf that was on the outside of our window back in Emporia. She submitted a photo similar to this in Lyon County when we lived there. The nice thing about this is if you're looking, you know, you realize this is something you could easily do with your, you know, in your house in the morning with the sun coming in from the east, if you hopefully have eastern exposure. Okay, so remember that now is the opportunity to start working on your photography if you haven't done so already. I want to give you a challenge, and the idea is to sort of get out and start exploring with your photograph. And so we're going to do a thing called alphabet photography. And basically what this amounts to is you go out and you look for everyday objects that represent letters of the alphabet. Now, this doesn't mean you go out and actually find a chart with A to Z and photograph those. Now, what it amounts to, and I'll show you an example here in a minute, what it amounts to is that you're going to find architecture details, a bench, a plant, or something that has some representation of one of the 26 letters. So I want you to take each of those 4 individual photographs and arrange them to spell a word or name of that's at least 4 characters long. You can use your name if you want to. You can favorite word, whatever exactly, however you want to do it. What I'd like you to do is then upload these photographs to the Central Kansas District 4-H page by Sunday, June 28th. That gives you a lot of time to work on this. And hopefully you'll kind of start to feel like you can, you know, start to see the details as you go out and work on this. You start focusing on details rather than looking at the big picture that a lot of us do. Okay, so here's an example. Oh man, I forgot the examples. Okay. Let me see. Well, anyhow, the examples, I'll post some examples in the links below. I apologize. I was working on this and forgot the examples. How wonderful it would be. Let me make a couple suggestions. This morning, I'm with my friend Noah, who's one of my students at South High School, and he hangs out with me in the summertime when his mom works. And one of the things that we love to do is we go out to the airport and eat breakfast, meaning we get breakfast. Like today, we went to Brahms, and then we drive out to Fawcett Plaza, and we just sit there, watch the planes. You know, there's a lot of K-State airplanes out there and jets and things like that. And there's always an opportunity out there to photograph some sort of interesting aircraft that's come in and landed. Big jets, little jets. Yesterday, there were some military Black Hawk helicopters. One time we were out there and saw this couple of stealth fighters, which is pretty unusual. So that's a great place to go. But the other place is probably easier, and you can do this in downtown Salina, or you can do it in downtown Minneapolis, or wherever you happen to live. It's just do what we called when I was in college back in the dark ages, we called it a photo walk or a walkabout. And now they call it photo walks. And we're going to try and do one maybe this fall. But what it amounts to is you just take a walk. Start at one end of downtown, walk up and down the street. You know, it's a couple blocks long, and start looking for interesting details. Might be in a park bench. It could be the flowers. It could be something on a building, a sign, an unusual sign. It could even be people. You know, so just pay attention to the details. You know, look to see what you can find that maybe you don't normally see. This is sort of the show me something I see every day in a way I haven't seen it before. So go find some unusual detail, something that makes you go, well, that's kind of interesting, and take a photograph of it. And I'd also ask you to upload those to the Central Kansas District 4-H page so we can all see what you're looking at and what you're seeing, and hopefully you'll come away with some ideas to submit to the county fair. And I know you all are going to be good enough to go to the state fair. So so that's the challenge. Everyday objects that represent letters of the alphabet, arrange them to spell a word or name of at least 4 letters, upload them to the Central Kansas District 4-H page by June 28th, and it'll be exciting to see what you come up with. Okay, finally, contact information. We're running, for me, for some of you, the fair seems like a long way away. For me, it's right around the corner, and I'm hoping you'll think of that too, because I'm guessing most of you, photography is not your only project, so you have a lot of work to do. So I would get started now. If you have any questions, you can email me. Here's my contact information. You can send me a text, probably the best way to do it, because I'm one of those people, if I don't recognize the phone number, I don't usually answer the phone. But if it is urgent enough, call me and leave voicemail, and I'll call you back. Make sure you leave your name and phone number. Also, as I said, photographs that are shown during this presentation are not mine in this case, but they're used here for educational purposes. Looking over my notes. Oh, the other thing I wanted to bring up is that remember that we have a theme. The photo project theme is repeating patterns. If you don't exactly understand what that is, we did a video a couple weeks ago about repeating patterns. Go back and take a look at that. But a repeating pattern, for example, is a picket fence. Each of the individual pickets make a repeating pattern. Now, if you're looking for ideas for the fair, it's my understanding the theme is stars and stripes and bright lights. So with that in mind, think about what you might take a photograph that would fit that theme. Stars and stripes, of course, is a flag. Bright lights, that's up to interpretation. So that's kind of, just think about it and see what you can come up with. Be creative. Think outside the box, if you don't mind the old cliche. And just give it your best shot. Okay, I hope you all have a good day, and I will talk to you soon. I think the next program we're going to do is a session on mounting photographs, and I'm going to show you how to make a photograph mounting jig that'll make your life so much easier. So we'll talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye.